The key there is to find that sweet spot where you don't just stay focused on that negative, even though it drives you to success, but you can't just stay focused on that negative because the negative is trying to drive the positive outcome. And in the end, what I found out,
How we look at our life and all we have experienced, all we experience in this moment, and how we tell ourselves the story of our life. Welcome to the Alchemy of Success podcast.
your podcast for career, personal, and consciousness expansion. I'm Pedro.
And I'm Anna. And today topics, we're going to talk about the art of being happy. And we're going to give you 3 tools how to become like the creative artist of your own happiness. And Pedro will start with some contemplated questions that you should not only listen to it, but maybe note it down. Please, if you drive car, don't do it now in this one very moment, but after that, and use it for your contemplation.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to start with the following when you start defining the happiness. First, ask yourself, do I suffer from limiting beliefs? Why is it that I feel like I'm struggling at times? Or also the opposite. Say you're very successful, but for some reason you still feel empty. Do I feel empty even though I have all this external success? Why do I constantly have triggers and reactions when people actually are trying to help me, but yet I still have this negative feeling inside and I sort of act out? If this is you or some combination of you, you need to actually learn and understand, why is that happening? What are the problems? What is going on there? And if we start understanding the problems, we'll understand what are the solutions that can help you overcome these problems, as we'll go in through this podcast later on.
And by the way, like you see, I'm sitting here outside. I hope you have a good quality, enjoying the time in Dubai, sending you vibes. And before we deep dive into the 3 tips that you can, it's like hands-on tips, you can really implement it right away if you're open for this one. There is a different reason why we might have the most successful life, at least on the definition of society, what is success. We might think like, okay, I have family, I have career, I have the money, I have the friends, like everything that society told me I should have to feel happy. Why there is still this inside emptiness, like Pedro said. And one of the reasons for us not feeling happy in this very moment, with this very experience every one single one have, is the way how we look at our life and all we have experienced, all we experience in this moment, and how we tell ourselves the story of our life. So I myself has really had this experience very vivid, very colorful, especially my last 1 year. So between the last year of March and this year of March, that I get through a very rough time in my life. And there was like around the half of the time I felt so kind of judging myself, why I experienced this. I was telling my story like a failure. I felt myself like a failure. I judged myself very deeply till one day, without anything external happen, through the internal work I was doing and kind of using the tools that we're going to share with you, I was sitting there and I was, is this story that I'm telling myself first serving me? And the second, is it true? Is this story true? Or is there a way how I can see this story and change it? And I don't know, Pedro, how was with you, but I think because as we were preparing the podcast, we were talking about the storylines or how we tell our story. Did you experience also this moments where you were telling yourself story about something that you have experienced that created unhappiness, unease in your life.
Yeah, and it's also creates motivation. So once you become aware of it. So the story that I was used to in the beginning, we did not have much money. Okay. So single mom, two jobs, two kids at that time before my brother came later.
Mm-hmm.
A story that I knew for a while was we're not going to have much money. We're supposed to go in and clock out. Forget about education. Believe it or not, forget about education. It's more about, do we need to bring home money so we could keep on living and surviving? It was a story of survival. So for me, it wasn't a story of wealth. It wasn't a story of abundance in that sense. It was really more of a story. Do we need to do what we need to do to survive, to do what we must? That was what I grew up with. And then within that environment, you find your motivation. Your motivation for me was, I am not going to live in a place where I actually grew up, because we didn't have much money. So I wanted to live in a better place that was more comfortable, more freeing. When you come home, you actually feels like a home. Like you feel relieved, you feel accomplished, not in a place where it actually brings you down, because you're actually noticing after all these hours of work that you put in, you're still in the same place. So that was a story that I came for when I was younger, until one day when I was 19, I literally said to myself, no, I'm not, that's not me anymore. I am going to strive to give myself a really great life as much as I can. So that's where I shifted, because I had enough basically. I was motivated by just being tired of it. I was tired of that story. So I made a point to refocus myself to get above and beyond of what I am used to. And so that's really where I came from. That was my story of lack, I guess you would say as well. So
But yet the question that I'm asking myself, because that's very interesting. So I grew up, I won't say poor, no, not, but it's like this daily, as a child, especially this daily of, can I buy myself a chocolate? Can I buy myself like an ice cream, where the other children are buying, to getting like the answer, oh no, we don't have enough money, or no, that's not now, tomorrow. So, this kind of story. So I get also this motivation, like you, similar. So I will create my own success. I will create my own like wealth, and I even change countries where I believe that will give me more um, success, because I believe that from the country I came from, it's way at this time way too limited to get the success without the network, without the connection, without the vitamin B. And yet I go to a study, and a first and a second, I work in huge companies. I created the money, I created the family, I had, had my child, had my environment. And yet I felt still on some point empty inside. So even if I was trying to escape the experience, I still hold it on the story, kind of, that I need to fight a lot. It's hard work that is needed to success. I need to act from a strong masculine perspective, was, for example, my story. Because if I want to to have a success in life, I need to be a strong woman, working, bringing the money, having all the responsibility on my own back, So the actual time, and I didn't felt happy. I felt some kind of, okay, I'm living a comfortable life, but when I had the moment to stop, and it wasn't very often, I didn't felt this inner place of satisfaction. And that what we're talking about today is about really finding this sweet spot inside, no matter the circumstances. So the way how I shifted my story. It was more about, okay, I'm going to fight against my roots or where I started, but yet I didn't internalize, how to say, I didn't change the story. I took my past and used it as a fuel for creating my life. But on one time in life, it stopped serving me. The fool was like gone. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. You brought up an excellent point, Anna. And I don't know if you, so you said the key word, find a sweet spot, or two words. Find a sweet
Okay.
spot in your life. Okay. This is why, because you use something what you grew up with, you same thing as I did. I focus sort of on the negative, right? What
Mm-hmm.
you don't have or what you're not happy with, right?
Right.
The key there is to find that sweet spot where you don't just stay focused on that negative, even though it drives you to success, but you can't just stay focused on that negative because the negative is trying to drive the positive outcome. And in the end, what I found out by knowing decent amount of successful people, it doesn't really give you happiness if you stay on the negative story, even though you're driving success, because it's just your only fuel for growth.
Yes.
That's not the best way to do it. You need to find that sweet spot, that little balance that gives you a little bit broader perspective of what happiness could be for you besides just money and external things. So, yes.
Exactly. And you just slip into the first tip.
Yeah.
And the first very, I won't say easy way, but I will say a powerful way of how to tap more into this sweet spot in ourself is by changing our story. And not the way how Pedro and I told you we did it with taking the negative aspect and using as a fool, but instead of seeing your story. And I want to give you now 3 exact perspective you should use for your story that will help you to change the story, that you use the wisdom of what you have experienced as your fuel, and you integrate the story so deep within you to understand how we grow up. We all grow up through the story. So it helps you to stay firm in your now and to know, yes, I went through this shit or I went through this beautiful situation. Doesn't matter. But all this situation made me in this very moment, because without the negative and without the positive, I won't be here. And that is take a position of observer. It's always the observer. That's very important, so
Mm-hmm.
take the position of the observer and first imagine, see yourself experiencing your life story or this very moment that's really stick in your brain, and go through this story like someone who has the positive aspects of life. So really imagine that you are an absolute positive person and see in every single situation and moment you experience like just the best. So tap into this and then go through these different moments and see always the positive aspect. Even, for example, somebody in the school, I don't know, took your purse, took your money. It was like bullying you. So let me say this, took your money. And maybe one of positive aspect, just one, could be, okay, this boy maybe experienced something at home, not having the love that he needs or she needs. So that's why this child has the need to take my money. So to feel more powerful. So just to have the compassion towards this person and for you to see, and I'm coming from a loving family, maybe, so it's just the money. It's just, it's just something material, but the safeness and security I have at home give me this love that helped me to grow and nurture, for example, just one example, so like go through this challenging situation in your life. Maybe you have also currently a very challenging situation, so go and see it as the most positive aspect. Then when you observe this or you relive it, go into the most negative personality you can imagine. So the stinky person, like see this like with the absolute negative.
Yeah.
Like even if the sun is shining, oh my God, it's too hot. When it's cloudy, oh my God, where is the sun? If the water is too cold, it's like, everything is just not the way how you want to have it. You find always in every single situation something like really off. And then you go deep into these emotions with going with the negative one. So now you have the positive aspect, you have the negative. And then sit again as the third part and go back through the situation or maybe the current challenging situation and relive it with the emotion you felt when you were in there. Maybe part was positive, maybe part was negative. So depending on. And when you're done with all these three aspects, what we want you to do is feel again how the different perspective felt. And I can tell you when I was doing this exercise, I was really, oh my God, I never saw how negative I could ever see it. So I was very grateful that I wasn't so negative in this situation. But on the other side, when I reflected on the positive version of myself, I was, oh my God, I never saw this perspective. And now you can choose. And that's the beauty in we being a human, that we have the choice. You can now choose which of this version serves you. And I'll suppose, and I'll propose, that will be the positive aspect. That doesn't mean that we want to put the experience that we had, maybe some other people interaction inside that we put it and excuse them. It's not about excusing them. It's about you going from the most compassionate, loving, grateful personality or point of view that you can embody, and then maybe open for other perspective, how your story made the person that you are currently, made you that you're currently, and person means just a mask. So that means the identity you're currently embodying is just an identity. And how maybe by shifting the story, you can create even a better version of your identity. And this
Correct.
identity most probably will feel way happier because we stop telling ourselves a story that is not the right one. Not the right one, but a story that is not serving us. That's it. It's always about, does it serve us or not?
And the story, as you guys know, is there's a lot of characters in the story. So you're the main character, but take a look at the characters outside of you as well. You'd be surprised how many people are falling strictly on the positive or the negative side. Because usually if you're like that, those are the people that you can be surrounding yourself with. So it's your your internal process is actually reflected outside of you as well. So just take a look at that as well as an exercise. Just as an exercise, maybe you're also seeing those patterns as well.
So Pedro, what you just said about the interaction with other actually lead us like perfectly smoothly to our second hands-on solution, or better say first the problem why we often feel unhappy. I don't know about you, but I have a lot of interaction with people. Like my work is connected to work with people. So it's not like putting some data or working in an environment where I don't have a lot of interaction. So my whole life I was interacting with people. And every time in the interaction with the people, especially before I went on this path of more, personal development and reflection, I felt every day in some situation like people doing me something wrong, that they're telling me something. They are acting a way that is not aligned with my values, that they're saying things that are maybe not good towards my own perception. Um, I remember like when I was working in a company, you know, very often when I was talking to men, they speak very straight and sometimes a little too harsh, so no emotion there, and sometimes I felt offended, or something very very strange. My name is Anna, but in my country I used to grow up to be called Annie. So the moment somebody calls me Anna, I felt I've done something wrong, because the only moment I've been called Anna is when I did something wrong. So when I moved to Germany and my colleagues or friends called me Anna, I had this inner feeling like they hate me, or when they were like talking too straight, and I'm emotional person, I felt offended. I was thinking I did something wrong. They don't like me. And so my whole brain just went on this whole analyzes what did this person mean by saying this or by doing this or by not saying this or by not doing this. And this created a huge amount of unease, and I felt often like off. I didn't felt happy. You understand what I mean? It's like I felt like I don't belong here, or I kind of even friends, sometimes like we had a different understanding and values, and depending on how they explain it, I felt very often not good.
Wow, that's rough because that's your name. That's
Yeah,
your name.
but I grew up like that. So it took me 20 years, 22 years. And even sometimes when you call me Anna, when you write it, I know it's not, but I feel this internal feeling of shit, I've done something wrong. And it has nothing to do with you, but it's like, uh. But that's just one example. I think a lot of people, only the East European people can resonate to this. But it's just one example, could be anything else. For example, German are way straight ahead with less emotion. As, for example, we in Bulgarian, we're like, you see my body language, like moving. So, and when somebody talks like without emotion, I have the feeling I did something wrong.
Culturally interesting.
Yeah. It's
A lot of
different
different
areas,
factors.
but
Yeah.
very often that made me feel like I did something wrong. Like, there is something off, and that took me a lot from my internal of like, like this happiness and peacefulness.
So how do you see people now, Anna, when they ask you, because you already have the solution, because hopefully you still don't do that when I call you Anna.
No, I want to integrate this name. I know it was my conscious decision, but when you 30 plus years, you've been called Annie, and you allow it maybe only in business perspective. And the moment I start more creating like relationship on the friendships area, that's where it's like change. How do I see it now? I think one of my biggest expansion, and that was connected to one of my family members. So I was very furious. I had a very bad relationship with this person. I felt really like I never want to forgive this person. How could this person do this and say this and do this? And that makes me a lot of unhappy moments and a lot of doubt. Is by finally understanding that every single person, including myself, so that means I needed to start with myself and to forgive myself or accept myself, is that I was in every single moment acting to the best of my ability based on the level of consciousness I had and the filter I had. So I just want to repeat it. Okay. The only way I was able to stop allowing the outer world or the interaction with other people is to understand that in every single moment, everyone act to the best of their ability based on their conscious level and the filters they are having. So it has nothing to do with me. It is the reflection level and the understanding and the self-awareness level the people have that I interact with, why they say this or not say this or act like that or doesn't act like that. And this understanding that it has nothing to do with me, but it has to do with their level of self-reflection and understanding, that helped me to see, like you said before, to see the person for the personality that it is, striving to be the best version of themselves with all the tools and experience they have.
So you basically are seeing everybody else and understanding and having empathy for people because they are doing what they can, and at that point what they know based on
Compassion.
their own compassion. Yeah.
And it first needs to start with me, and that's the most hardest way. but yeah, it's really seeing sometimes maybe the wounded child. There is a lot of topics about inner child, about healing, about you have spoken a few episodes ago about our brain stages and how the brain functions. So when I start understanding how our brain is created and how our limiting beliefs are created or our experiences are stored, and how we then react instead of respond based on this, and me myself also, so like, but I started seeing first with the other ones because that was easier.
Yeah. Totally understand.
Yeah, and that is how you say it so beautiful before the podcast, to say I stay in this happy place within myself. How did you say it? It was like,
So I I guess I don't know which one I said, but essentially I think what I said in regards to the definition of happiness, was that the question? Okay.
mm-hmm.
So
So with the
happiness.
interaction with others, I mean, that is,
Absolutely.
you say a very beautiful sentence. How was when I asked you what helps you feel happy, and we came across this
Oh, sure.
one.
I believe I said, I don't see them for their identity. I don't see them for their behavior. I don't see them for the words. I see them just at the most base level of who they probably really are inside, and knowing how all these things, all these internal, external factors has affected them, allows me to have more compassion, more understanding, more empathy for the other individual, because I also been through that. We're all human beings, but I just disconnect from that part of their history. So it doesn't give me a really viral reaction where, give an example, somebody's losing their mind and they start yelling. Of course, I'm not going to take that, but I'm not going to go and start, biting somebody's head off because maybe they had a really rough day. Maybe they grew up with a lot of childhood trauma or issues with authority or whatever those things are. I don't know, because everybody has their own story. I'm not even here to judge any of that. But to understand that maybe that's really not them, stand your own ground and do what you need to do. But don't go to the point, because it goes back to the first point that you came up with, Anna. Do I see the positive or negative side of that reaction? Do I understand what is just what he's saying, as just take it as a complete, just negative experience, just completely, just say, okay, this guy is so and so, and now I'm already making judgments about this individual. Do I only take that part of the experience?
You know
I
what
say
you
no.
say. You know
I
what
don't do that.
you said in the last episode. Now it comes. You say, I don't buy in their story.
I don't. Yeah.
It's like, that is what you said in the last episode. not last, sorry, 2 episodes before, where you say, I don't buy in this story, in their story in this moment. You just see the person for the person that it is.
Yeah, I do. So even though if you have a bad day, we're good friends. Everybody knows that me and Anna are really good friends. Am I gonna go, oh, Anna? No. I'm like, are you okay? And we do this with each other. We're supporting. We're like, are you okay? Knowing that
That's not true. You are yelling at me. You just tell this here on air so the people think that you are a good person. No, guys, it's just joking,
Yeah.
But even by saying this, it's somebody can take it as offended. I love to do jokes.
Exactly.
So some people can see it as offended, or really maybe you can buy it that I say the truth. So what is the real truth that I'm saying? Can you feel it?
Your energy, yeah. I know you're joking.
Not you. I'm asking the people. I'm asking our audience.
The viewers, yes.
Can you feel it? What is the? Yeah. Can you differentiate? There is this. How do you say? There is this moment when you interact with people. You cannot grab it, but somehow in your gut to say it, or so we feel it. You cannot like grab it with our sense, but we feel it. From which place the person is coming currently.
Yes, but you have to make sure that it's not your internal stuff going on. Meaning, is it some hidden little kid that's kicking and screaming inside, and versus being the person that's more conscious and understanding what's actually being said to you. So be careful.
But what is the problem? But what is the problem about me being unconscious about my own stuff?
There's no problem, because it depends on how I take it. I can't change you. I can't change how you're going to react. I can't change any of that. Yeah. It's just how I receive it. Because I'm the one.
But go on this path a little deeper, because that leads us to our third, of course, hands-on tip. So the first one is tell your story in a different aspects and pick the one that helps you. The second one is see the people from the most positive situation or compassion. You can see it like that. Everybody is acting to the best of their ability based on their consciousness and filter. And the third one will be actually that what Pedro, again, unconsciously tap into it. But what is the problem if I am not aware?
So what's really happening is you start going within. And what is within? What's happening to us? Why are we reacting this way? The external representation that's outside of us, the people's behaviors, the fact that we can't change people. Okay, maybe we need to change ourselves, but we need to understand ourselves first. Hopefully the first thing is self-awareness. So what's actually happening within ourselves, in our mind, in our body, our emotions, all these things that make us move, that makes us human. First thing that happens to us in any event, like a simple conversation between me and Anna, is she could be saying these beautiful things, amazing, tons of wisdom. And out of the 5-minute conversation, I just picked up on 3 words. And those 3 words, I probably saw it as negative. So I deleted everything positive that she said, all these beautiful things. And I just focused on those 3 words. I automatically deleted it because it's based on my experience of how I grew up. It's based on what I know. So those 3 words might have been something I've been attached to. Could be as a child, could be in your young adulthood, but something that made an association to those 3 words allow me to actually just focus on those 3 words. And when you focus on words, automatically triggers an emotion sometimes. So the first thing that happens to us automatically, we start deleting stuff. Literally deleting. So when you delete, what happens? You start distorting. There's a distortion happening on the event. The event could be the conversation. I'll stick with this example. So because I only focus on those 3 words, I distorted what the actual conversation was. And it's basically trying to give me some guidance. And I said, no, she's calling me out because of those 3 words. I'm giving you an example, right? But it's not a real one, but it's just a hypothetical one. So she's telling me these 3 words. So I'm distorting this entire beautiful process. It could have been a beautiful uplifting, could have been amazing, could have been exactly what I needed. But because of my internal representation of what my past experiences have been, I kind of distorted the whole outcome. So
just let me just to understand. So distorted, you means that instead of seeing the fact, or really listening to the message as it's been meant to be delivered, you kind of delete the most of the message. You took these 3 words, and based on these 3 words, you just put your own story, what I actually said, instead of actually truly listening to what did I say.
Exactly.
Okay. So deletion, distortion.
Yes. And the third one. So now when we actually do that, what do we do with other people? We start generalizing. Because I had this experience with Nana, every time I hear those 3 words, oh, this is not going to go well. Or so and so is thinking of this, so and so is thinking of that. We start generalizing all other events and putting it all together as this is the way it is. This is how it's going to be. So we start creating that belief inside ourselves of what the reality is going to be consistently. And if it's not a good thing, guys, guess what happens to us? We go back to the positive and negative. We start thinking negatively consistently, where it affects us emotionally, affects us in our inability to make a decision, a proper decision for ourselves, because we're stuck in that negative loop because of what we created of this deletion, distortion, and now the generalization of what that trauma or instance could be. So that's why it's really difficult to progress if you're not self-aware that this is actually happening to you right away.
And is it happening with everyone, every single moment?
Single human being, every single human being, until
that's
you get to the point.
That's why ladies tend to be in the relationship with their man. Like, you never tell me that or you never shows me that you love me, or you always forget our, I don't know, so and so event and so on. So it's like, but okay. So when I delete, when I distort, and when I generalize, how can I actually see the person and the conversation for the real personality that it is?
Great question. Fantastic question. The first thing I do is, because you literally just listen to what's happening to you, you're becoming self-aware. Self-awareness is always key to enhance your wisdom, not just your knowledge, guys. Wisdom, meaning as you're listening to this, does it make sense to me? If it makes sense to you, integrate it. You have to integrate the information, because when you integrate it, what does that mean? You're going to start making an experience out of it. So the first thing is understanding how your mind works. Go ahead.
Okay, again, can you repeat it again?
Sure.
So understanding it, okay?
Yes. Understanding it is becoming self-aware. And then because you're self-aware, you're able to create it into wisdom because you start integrating it. When you start integrating, you create that experience because now you know something, you feel something, you understand something at a larger scale. So now you can move forward with actually taking action, creating that experience going forward. So that's...
Okay, so what do you mean integrating? Integrating the knowledge that my brain works like that? Is it that what you mean? Okay. So that means, just from my understanding.
Absolutely.
So that means when I know how it works, I need to be able to integrate it.
Yes.
First. Mm-hmm.
And because the way you integrate it is, if this is what you believe how it works, because we're telling you doesn't mean you have to take it, but if you believe this is true, I actually have examples of that. Just self-reflect. Then you start integrating, meaning then everybody else is also going through this. So when that hits you, next time you go into a situation that maybe in the past you really were heightened, you were really angry, really upset, you did one of these quick reactions, maybe it will go, whoa, it will reset you. Then, all these things that we were talking about, having the empathy for other people, all that stuff, it becomes a lot easier, guys. It becomes a lot easier. You become less stressed, less emotional, to the point where that negative emotion doesn't really take over your body, and allows you to make the proper decisions in life, in business, and every aspect of your life. So that's why the integration is important, because it also should trigger you saying, oh, wait a minute, other people are also going through this.
But how do I change myself?
So now let's go to, that's the last one.
Okay. So that means the first one is understanding how our brain works, and that me and all the people are the way how we're proceeding the world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the first one, in integrating. So become more aware and observe it. Okay.
Correct. And the way you could start doing it by going in and learning how to overcome this is talk to the person you trust the most that gives you the absolute truth. Super simple exercise. Meaning, find somebody. It could be your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your best friend, whoever that is. Ask
Or
the
us.
person, us. And then we go, hey, yeah, perfect example. Let's go with that, Anna. I go, hey, Anna, I felt something last time we spoke. It wasn't sitting well with me. What did you see? What were you saying? And tell me, what did you see out of me? Ask them these very important questions. And if your friend is very honest with you, hey, Pedro, by the way, I was giving you great advice. I don't know what's going on with you, but I saw you were getting a little angry, or maybe you were getting a little sad, right? But I saw that you weren't actually receiving. My intention for that message wasn't the way you were receiving it, but this is the way you were reacting. So let that person be honest with you of how you were reacting, because we do it automatically. I keep telling you guys, we do it automatically. Sometimes we don't see it.
Can we do the exercise now? So, guys, so we're recording this, of course, on the run, but sometimes, of course, happen some things. So, Pedro, we do it like live in the full vulnerability. So you remember when we were recording into the one point, you tend to jump very quickly to the solution without actually going deep into the problem so people can resonate, and there is people who first need to understand the problem so they buy into the solution. So I give you this feedback, and I was like thinking, okay, did I give it compassionate enough? Did I give it with the right intention enough? How did you feel with this?
I was going to thank you for letting me know. You know why? This is a great example. You know why? Because I listened to the words you were telling me. I didn't delete anything, distort anything, because I guess I'm conscious enough, and we are all conscious enough. We all get to this place that you understand the true intention of the individual. So my feelings are not coming out because I know Anna, and Anna would not do stuff like that, and not only that, but her energy, and for you guys, right? It's just the person's, how do I say this? Their characteristics, their expression. And sometimes when you get to know somebody, you know their reality, you know they're true. You know when they're messing around, when they're not. And, and she was just telling me the straight out answer and what I was doing wrong. It's excellent. I get to reset. Simple as that, and I move on.
And it wasn't wrong. It was like,
No, it was fine.
It was like, sometimes, sorry guys, we need to bring you to the pain so you open yourself. Not everybody. So there is people that are more positive. The inspiration is more when it comes from the positive, but the most of the people I get to know on our earth plane is we need the pain to go so deep so we're willing to change, because change is always uncomfortable. And what Pedro just said is so beautiful, because he was aware, and that's his expertise through the hypnosis and all the deeper understanding about the brain and how it works. He worked a lot about this self-awareness.
A lot of years, guys.
And the reflection. So that means it's a combination of the awareness, how the brain works. So it's like the knowledge. Then it's the reflection about, okay, when I do it, how often I do it, and what do I tend to distort and not. And then integrating it with the willingness to change, that's so-called personal development. So development means not more or less than unraveling that's not serving us anymore. It's not like just throwing away, but it's more about understanding what kind of beliefs and filters and so on we have adapted throughout the years from our society, parents, grown, and to decide or to choose. Again, the word choose. We have the choice. So Pedro choose consciously that he's not willing to be any more perceiving his world through the story. So we go back again to the story. Through the story he has experienced, and then he has changed. But instead of creating this conscious awareness how he wants to be in every single moment. But do you have a very clear, maybe a small step by step way how, if I've never done it before, how can I change this? And I know it's not happening from now to now. It takes work. But what would be the most easiest way for me? Okay, now I know that I have this filter or these 3 steps, how the brain works, and that everybody's like that. And you say I integrate it. That's cool. So I integrate this knowledge. But how do I manage in a moment when it's happening something? So you say, okay, you take someone that reflects on you. But it's not always easy to find someone that is as honest, because sometimes people love us so much that they think they need to hide a little the truth, so like, oh, I don't want to offend you, and so on and so on. And maybe you don't have this environment. I definitely, before, when I started this path, I didn't have this environment. How can I do it by myself? Is there like a small tool or a way that I can use to become more aware and to tap more into that, what you are now able to do?
So if you don't have that person, I believe what you're asking me, Anna, is if you don't have that person, which is part of your environment, that it helps you in this process, how do you do it just by yourself? Is that what you're asking? Okay. Guys, if that's the case, the way I've done it, once again, is just how I've worked on it when I had to. I understand my body and my emotions. Here's what I mean. Something happens and stuff comes out and I feel it in my chest. For me, I feel it in my chest. So my body's already giving me the signal. Oh, you didn't like that. You didn't like that. So I feel it in my body first. My body reacts that way. And then I go, what am I suppressing? Because if I don't act emotionally, maybe I'm suppressing something, but my body can't. It's telling me right away. Now, how about if you're the opposite? So that's if you're more sensitive to your physical touch, your body communicating that way. So how about if you're the opposite, meaning you're not that connected to your body? You are going to feel the anger because the escalation of the voice, the theatrics of the hands and the body movements and all that stuff. You will be aware that when you're losing it, because there isn't one person that I've spoken to. People tend to consider me a pretty calm person. So that anybody that you ask, so there isn't one person that has reacted that way. And I go, did you know that you were just like really, really pissed off? And they're like, yeah, I know I am. They know. Oh, they know. Trust me, they know. And you know when you're sad too. You can't hide that either. So let's just go through the 2 extremes. So if you can't not feel it through your body, cool, meaning you're suppressing inside. But if you are a very emotional person, you will know your emotion because you can't deny it. So the moment that happens, this is where the self-discipline, please, just what the hell just happened? Like, why do I feel this way if it's the body? Or like you just are in that heightened emotion, like, oh my goodness, give yourself a timeout. You know how we give kids a timeout? Give yourself a timeout. And you have to do this. And if you don't want to, but this is the way you have to do it internally. Go within, meaning I sit and I go within, I meditate. And I find out, why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling? And then I replay it. I replay literally the scenario that just happened that gave me that trigger. And I ignore the body. I ignore the key words that might have triggered me. I try to, because you can't get it right away in the first time. But really try to focus what just actually happened. And if you start going, but damn, I don't really actually remember. This actually, a lot of people have told me this. I don't really remember what just happened 5 minutes ago because you were in that heightened state. That is the biggest clue you have as well. If you don't remember, that means you are so automatic, such a deep-rooted emotions inside of you. And then you ask yourself, damn, if I can't remember the events that just happened 5 minutes ago, how many times has that already happened? And here's why that's a really important question, because I'm trying to give you step by step. Not only are you now identifying what's happening within inside of you, you're also identifying, is it the person I just spoke to or had that event with But if you're asking, did I do it again? Meaning, did I have another instance where that happened? Now you're actually seeing the broader side of your experience, meaning, oh my goodness, there's a pattern. So it's not the individual. So now you go within, you go, that's not the individual. Oh, and it wasn't the other individuals either, because it's happening consistently. And who's the consistent factor in all of that? Me. I'm the one consistently behaving that way. This person said something different, this other person, but I'm consistently getting triggered. So you slowly go through that development phase of self-awareness, then understanding, okay, don't blame on others, people. Stop judging, guys. And then go, is there a pattern? There's a pattern. Oh, there's a pattern. Then that will motivate you to go keep digging in further and further through meditation. I did it through meditation. Further and further of becoming, why is it coming up? And that's for guidance, because you all have that inner wisdom. All of you have that amazing, amazing intuition. The little inner voice.
The voice. Yeah. And there is the good voice. So the one that gives you the wisdom.
Talk. Yeah.
And there is the I love to call it quatchi. I have a friend, she called it hirni. So you can give it like a name, monkey brain. You know what's interesting today in the morning? So for me, I give you a very easy example that maybe a lot of you can resonate. I just give you the example with my cappuccino. So I enjoy my morning cappuccino. It's like my holy cappuccino. I have like 1 cup a day. So cappuccino. So it has to be perfect. Okay. But I was invited to go for a breakfast and to have cappuccino there. And I was talking to the person, and I asked, okay, do you have a way to make the foam for the cappuccino? And the person said, oh, no, but I'm just going to heat the milk into the microwave. And that's not a cappuccino. That's just a coffee with heated milk inside, you know. And I say, no, you know what? For me, I drink 1 coffee a day. And if it's not just the perfect one, it's just fucking my good experience. Sorry for the saying, but it's like how I felt in this moment. I was like, why get invited to have a cappuccino when actually they don't have the equipment to do the cappuccino? So and that's why I overreacted a little too more than it was needed. So actually I pick up my own cappuccino on the way, went there. But then I was sitting there and I said, sorry, I just need to say sorry for my action before, because I found out that I didn't act from the best of the person I like to be or what I embody in this very moment, because maybe you don't understand how important for me is my morning cappuccino, and you don't need to. But I had some expectation, and when I understood that the expectation won't be met, and actually I would come there and won't have my good cappuccino, and I would get disappointed, I get a little pissed off, and that is how my voice and way of communicating went a little rough. And I was like, sorry, it wasn't you. You know, it was like, you could not know it. Yeah, so sorry for this. So I really apologize. But it was also good reflection for me to understand, okay, next time, inhale, exhale, because I couldn't meditate in this very moment, but just take 2 breaths in, inhale, out, exhale, and just understand, okay, can the person, was the person aware? No. So does the person deserve the way how I might act? Also no. So just let it go. It's wasted emotions in this moment, wasted negative energy. Just put it into the positive. Go grab your cappuccino and say, see you in a few minutes. Don't go into the discussion or explanation. And it was just a small things, but that is how you can start with the easiest things. Don't go with the most hardest thing that really triggers you to the point that you just explode. All of us have this. But take something that is like daily topics. Maybe your partner doesn't throw away the trash and you told him 1,000 times. Sorry for telling this towards the man, but normally the man is taking care of the trash, So I'm now generalizing. You see it?
You're giving a great example of generalization. Exactly.
Of course, we should be very, on hand. So maybe next time when you tend to overreact because trash is not thrown away, just reflect, okay, why you feel like that. Maybe it's for you. For me, for example, when my partner threw away the trash or take care of this, it's my love language. So few episodes ahead, we talk about the love language, and my love language is act of service. So that means I have then the feeling that my partner doesn't love me or appreciate me enough because it doesn't appreciate what is important for me to feel a little more comfortable at home. So it's actually not about the trash at all. It's about
Exactly.
what it's connected with me, what it means to me. And when the partner knows, that means when I sin, I say, you know what? For me, when you throw out away the trash, it's like an expression of your love, taking care or helping me in the household, so I don't feel like I need to take care of everything by myself. And that shows me how much you love me. You love me, you know. And when the partner knows and is aware, the probability that next time the trash won't be thrown away, it's less. Because now the person can understand, oh, that's why she's overreacting.
But he can't change you.
Yeah, I can stop. I can.
You can do it to
of course,
yourself. Yeah.
of course. But I think that also communicating it when I won the awareness, why it's like triggers me. You know, when you go into meditation, get the information, sometimes it's also because it takes time to integrate it. Like you said, integrate it, but it's not like I know it and I integrate
Correct.
it. It's like I fall down again and I stand up and I learn it again. It's like a child learning to walk. So we get better and better. But in this phase, if we can communicate oftenly with our environment or the people at least that are important to us, we can ask them, can you next time just give me a hint when I overreact on the trash, for example? Or can you just next time with a loving, nurturing, hopefully, instead of overreact on my overreaction, understand the place where I'm coming from. So I work on changing it. So you can use your environment not only to give you feedback about how they felt, but also take them as an accountability part and say, I want to change this, but can you be kind of supportive puzzle piece of us and give me feedback when I tap again into the pattern that I actually like to overwrite and change.
And that's why you having to ask, you just gave the example of you asking your partner. You having to ask is an important part of that step, because when you ask, you're not going to be asking when you're really angry, because you're angry. And if your partner's already offering something to you while you're angry, you're going to be more angry. That's why it's important for you to ask, because you're going to be asking in a calmer state. So you're going to be able to receive whatever he has to give you. So it's important that you do that step. So
because I requested this exactly. So if I get it, I cannot be angry anymore.
Exactly.
It was my own request. So it's like the slap in the face that I wanted to get when I'm angry. I requested it, and that's something like Pedro and I also doing, like be honest to each other. And I think we didn't spoke about how to implement all this in the different areas of life, but I think it's very self-explaining. But just an example, when you have a business partner, and you can relay, so you understand that both have these challenges and both have the different story and both have the different, I say something, I trigger him, he says something, it triggers me, and it's mine, it's not his, and so on. All this kind of, we go through these three different aspects that we were talking about: the storytelling, the interaction with other people, and also our own filters, and then the possibility to reflect. When you start integrating this in all your relationships, you create so beautiful, nurturing relationships on the one side, but also on the other side, it helps you. It helps us really to evolve, and it helps us to develop. So like really like unravel all this stuff that is not serving us anymore. And we don't want to lie to you. It's not always comfortable. In the most of cases, it's uncomfortable. But I believe that it's way more uncomfortable to be unconscious, reacting, instead of conscious deciding to become the responsible person for your life and to respond.
That's right.
Because I know how often I was unaware when I was sometimes shouting at my child. And it wasn't nice. It was my own topic, too much to work, too less time, all this kind of stuff, feeling too less happy, not knowing how to love. And my child has nothing to do with this, but he was the one to experience my kind of angry moments. And it's difficult to say sorry to a child. You can say it, but the child don't understand it the way how maybe an adult person will. So we need more self-awareness there. So just by we deciding to go on this path of self-happiness, we help our whole environment to become also more happy. It's not egoistic. It's egoistic not to be happy. It's egoistic not to take care of yourself. Because when I become more happy, my environment start being more happy, and also invited more people that also are more happy. So that's also change.
100%.
And that is
Great.
how we create a happy world. It's not by trying to teach people to be happy, but instead start with yourself. And then by you changing, you are the best example for your environment. And they become the example for the environment. And it's like a ripple effect.
And that's why it's really the most important one, because that one will affect everything else. 100%.
Be the artist, create, paint with colorful colors. Colorful colors. It's also beautiful. You see how colorful I am, like green to green. So much color I have. I just get it. But I can show you also some other colors. You see, here there is like colors, and there's some colors. So that's the place where I'm staying. It's a very colorful, beautiful place. We're so happy to take you on this excurse, on this conversation. Be more happy, feel more happy, allow more happiness. Be just happy.
Absolutely. Bye. Thanks for watching. Click on one of the videos below and don't forget to like and subscribe.